Hello, everyone. It is News Roundup time. We're going to talk about the day's top stories, some of them at least. And we're going to be taking your comments on the air. I want to hear from you. I am at Lookner on Twitter. That's where you can write to me. Let me know your thoughts. We will take them on the air. And hang on one second here. Why is this not doing anything? Let's see. There we go. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to our moderators, too. Lizzie and Cynthia Moon and Sarah Joy are all moderating. Thank you. And let me actually get this up here. We have Papa Bear moderating too. Thanks, Papa Bear. Okay. And we have, thanks to our viewers like Kathy Van Pelt, Janice Marie, Kathleen Mullally, Dugo Cleo, DJ Dialogue, Maddie Mags, Callie's dad. No Way is here. Hello, No Way. Nunzi, Rhonda Roll, Mantronics, Aries, Shaft, Elizabeth G., Daniel Terrell, Tommy J., UV Lightning, and others. Quiana Capri. So I think I first want to talk about the pedestrian bridge. Let's talk about the pedestrian bridge in D.C. This pedestrian bridge collapsed. Look at this. I know a bunch of you know this already. It came out tonight that the bridge had gotten like a poor rating on an inspection earlier this year. So we'll talk about that. These are some pictures from the police and fire there. Actually, this is one where you can really see. See, this is the highway. Then there's the bridge. Last I checked, no one was seriously hurt. Said bridge collapse, I-295 prior to Polk Street Northeast. 6 patients assessed, 4 of those transported. Originally, it was said that they were minor injuries. Let me show you this. Look at this. This came out tonight. See, collapsed bridge rated poor in 2021 inspection. Mayor misstated condition Wednesday. This is from Fox 5. The pedestrian bridge that collapsed Wednesday received a poor rating 4 months ago, following a 2021 inspection. The mayor's office said they misstated the condition of the bridge when Fox 5 questioned its structural integrity. It collapsed around noon along the 295 just prior to Polk Street. In 2019, the bridge was inspected and was rated a 5 on a scale of 0 to 9, which is fair. In 2021, the inspection led to a rating of 4 out of 9, which is poor condition. This rating prompted a multi-year planning process to replace the structure. According to a press release from the D.C. Department of Transportation at the end of May, it said that the bridge would undergo preservation and repair activities from May 27th through June 18th. This is interesting. The D.C. Department of Transportation hadn't said yet if the project was completed or if this played any role in the collapse. It looks like they had said they were going to be repairing this bridge from May 27th to June 18th. I wonder if something happened when they were working on it. Officials say the prevailing theory is that a truck hit the bridge and that's what brought it down. Now, I had heard this earlier today that a truck might have hit the bridge. But I was wondering, are these bridges not made to absorb that? There may also be issues with the company that owns the truck, officials say may have hit the bridge. According to U.S. Department of Transportation records, the truck's DOT number is inactive. Let me also show you where this is. So this is going to be at, let's look this up on the map. Kenilworth Lane at Lace Plain Northeast. Let me get the maps up here. Let's get it on the map. Then I'm going to take some comments from you guys. Michelle says, is there a website that shows the ratings of bridges? I'm not aware of one. I'm not saying there's not. I'm just not aware of it. Here, this is Kenilworth. This is it. So this is, so like there's the U.S. Capitol. So we're talking a few miles outside of like where the Capitol and the White House are. About 3.5 miles outside of like where the Capitol and the White House are, up here. If we do this, what you'll find is we go here. It's right here. Look at this. It's over a major road. That's the bridge right there. That's it. That's before. That's before, and then after is, hang on. Where did I go from before? Where was I? That wasn't it. That's it. Ooh, I wonder if this is the other side. Maybe I have to turn around there. Let's see. If I go here, I turn around. If I turn around over here, that's it. That's the sign. See, it says Benning Road and Foot Street here. See, it says Benning Road and Foot Street. Okay. You can actually see that right here. There's the sign right there. That's the bridge. So that's after. And that's before. That's on 295. Read Israel says, I think I drive under that when I'm on my way to my brother's house in Laurel, Maryland. Hey, Wendy Boo, that's very kind of you, Wendy Boo. Thank you so much, Wendy Boo. I really appreciate that. It's very nice of Wendy Boo. Thank you, Wendy Boo. Much appreciated. Thank you. Look at this. After, before, after. Gosh. So this thing is just off. The top is just off. Supposedly a truck hit it. You know what I wonder? So I mean, if you look at the bridge, right? I mean, when I look at this bridge, there's no like stone pillars in the middle or anything like that. So, I mean, maybe a truck. I am not a structural engineer, but looking at it this way, just eyeballing it, I guess it doesn't seem that crazy. I don't know that if you had a truck that was too high and it was going fast and it ran into it. Reed Israel says, doesn't it have signs about trucks not driving there or something? Yeah, Quiana says, looks like a pretty busy road. Could have been a worse situation. Definitely. Let's see. Let me show one of the other articles here. So we showed you the Fox 5 article. Let's go to the different article. WUSA. Collapsed bridge given poor condition rating at most recent inspection. And they were, because of that, they were working on it, I guess, the last few weeks. 6 people injured after a collision. After a collision caused a pedestrian bridge to collapse. There were no life-threatening injuries to report. Nobody trapped under the debris. Just before noon, the bridge collapsed after what is believed to be a collision involving a tractor trailer. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a structural engineer, but it's not like, it's not one of these, it's not this giant, it's not, you've seen bigger bridges that go across highways. So, and there's nothing, I assume that the tractor trailer hit the top of it. I don't know though. Let's see. I mean, or did it hit the side of it? I don't know. Could it have hit the side and that messed it up? Let's see here. What does it say? The bridge was inspected in February, resulting in a May 25th inspection report giving the bridge a rating of poor, 4 out of 9. Let's see here. What exactly happened? According to authorities, the bridge collapsed just before noon. Okay, well, that didn't tell us much. WUSA 9 was told the truck in question did fit underneath the bridge, but the back part may have not. Oh. So is the idea that the truck got under the bridge, but the trailer hit the top of the bridge? It's a tractor trailer. Here are some photos from Matthew Torres, arrived to see a mangled mess at the pedestrian bridge. Is that the truck? Or is this is this like taking stuff away? I was wondering if that's the truck that hit it or if that's like a truck like helping to take the bridge away. See this? Oh, look at this. See, I actually haven't even seen this before. Well, this looks kind of messed up. So did the back of this, the trailer that this truck was showing? Yeah, it says Frank Scrap Metal. This says Frank Scrap Metal on the truck. In the other article, it says Frank Scrap Metal. That is the truck. That's the truck that hit it. Because the other article said Frank Scrap Metal, this trunk belonged to Frank Scrap Metal. So this is from Matthew Torres. So this is right here. That's it. That's the truck. So crazy. The truck didn't make it very far. Huh. Oris has an interesting question, or in theory. Oris says maybe there was something protruding up and above the normal truck height. Oh, because it's a scrap metal truck. I like the way Oris is thinking. So Oris is thinking it's a scrap metal truck. Maybe the truck was carrying a bunch of scrap metal and there was something high up and it got like caught on the bridge. That's very interesting. Maybe something got caught in the fencing or something like that too. Because remember, this is what the bridge looked like before. Could something have gotten caught up here and just torn down the bridge? Paul Hess says, truck lived up to its name. Read is real says, so glad no one was seriously injured. I have to confirm that the reports I saw initially said, Peep, it was just minor injuries. Sonic says, may have been a dump truck. Sometimes those beds have a hydraulic fail and they rise. Happened here to an overpass. And then here is the a picture from before. It's like a helicopter shot. Oh, did it go across? I'm confused. Does it go across the whole way? No, this is one way and the other way. Right here. Yeah, there's a divider in the middle of the road. That's what it is. At least 4 cars were seen trapped under the debris from the bridge. Officials said at least one other car was struck by debris. Neighbors reported hearing a loud bang and seeing smoke once the bridge collapsed. That's a picture from DC Fire there. Yeah, what I have no idea about. What I just have no idea about is, so is the bridge built? Is the bridge built to be able to like take something like this happening? Like, given whatever happened with this truck that apparently collided with the bridge, some part of the truck or something on the truck collided with the bridge and the bridge came down. Should the bridge have been able to handle that or not? This is what I don't know. Hector Hernandez thinks the truck should not have collapsed the bridge. Like even if it, hit the bridge or caught on the bridge. The other article said the driver of the truck is okay. I mean, that truck must have come to a stop pretty quick. Let me take some more comments from you guys. Hey, thanks, by the way, to Cheryl Johnson for the Facebook stars. Thank you, Cheryl. That's very kind of you. Thanks so much, Cheryl. And also Ezra Marial. Thank you, Ezra Marial, for the Facebook stars as well. It's very nice of you. Thank you both. Hang on, folks. Aaron Sanford says something similar happened in Miami, I think. The Miami pedestrian bridge was I believe, nothing hit the bridge, I don't think. That was like 3 years ago or something. The Florida International University pedestrian bridge collapse. 6 people died. That was an engineering design error led to the collapse of it. Yeah, I don't believe in that collapse that anything hit the bridge. The one in Miami. That was terrible though. If I remember right. I'm not saying anything about there. Aaron said, I had just passed over the Minneapolis Bridge a few days before it collapsed. Which one is that? That was this one. The I-35W Mississippi River Bridge collapsed in 2007, killing 13 people and injuring 145. And then there's footage of it right here. That's the one in 2007 in Minneapolis. Well, that's from Wikipedia. Well, that's crazy. And then that one was due to, what does it say? The NTSB cited a design flaw as the likely cause of the collapse in that one, noting that a too thin gusset plate, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, I'd be interested in knowing more specifics on what happened with this one. Let me just try one other article here. No, we did that. Yeah, all of these articles from the local outlets seem pretty similar. Let's see, NBC, Washington, D.C., at least 5 people injured. I'm not sure what their conditions are or what the injuries are. The bridge had gotten a 4 out of 9 poor rating in February, well, from a February inspection. Supposedly they had been working on the bridge the last few weeks. And then Deputy Mayor for Public Safety Chris Deldart says, everything we see in the accident scene right now leads to this being a collision, pulling the bridge off its mooring. We believe this was caused by the collision. Again, there's another picture of it. It's that truck somehow, that Frank's Scrap Metals truck somehow caught the bridge on the way by. Maybe something in the trailer or hanging out of the trailer. It's a tractor trailer. But you're not seeing the trailer in that shot. You're seeing the tractor. And again, this is the bridge right there. That's it. You would think this would be made to withstand something hitting it. I don't know though. Rita's Reel says, in this video, it really appears it broke away from that side of the road around 30 seconds. Sierra Fox posted a video. Okay, pedestrian bridge collapse. There it is, right? See? So what Rita's saying is like, it seems to be hanging down from this side. That this side is like still attached, but this side is hanging down is what Rita Israel is saying. Oh, I see what she's like you can see here, right? It should be here. That's where the bridge should be, and now it's just down here. So I think Rita Israel is saying it got like pulled off this way. Let's go back to yeah, it's a little hard to see, but I guess it seems like maybe this has been pulled further down the road than here. I can't tell really, though. It could just be an optical illusion. So that's where it should be. It should be this should be up here. You can see, but it's not there anymore. How is it here? I mean, it's like this, the bridge is right at the back of the tractor. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird that if this was a tractor trailer, the bridge ended up on the back of the tractor. I wonder if it caught the sign. Is that possible? Oh, the sign's not there. I don't know what it caught. I was saying, I wonder if it maybe caught something up here. Where's the picture? Notice the car ahead of the bridge, someone said. Well, there's this here. Ooh, did that have damage? Did that get hit by some of the bridge? I don't know. There's a car here. Yeah, so it's very interesting to me that the that the bridge like ended up like on like right behind the cab of the trailer. It's amazing. Like you'd think it would maybe be further behind the like you'd think if the bridge got caught on the tractor part, at least it would be further back. I don't know. Man. It's interesting. Well, I'll be interested in hearing what exactly happened. Let's see what some of our viewers are saying. Matthew Magnuson sent me this. I've never been on this site. I can't really vouch for it. It's a site called bridgereports.com, a searchable version of the National Bridge Inventory 2019 edition. So is it not up to date? I don't know. I'm not familiar with bridgereports.com, but you could go through and look. I'm not familiar with the site. Let's see here. bridgereports.com, Internet database of American bridges based on the National Bridge Inventory. Well, you can check that out if you want. I just did a search, and for each bridge, you can click on it, and you get like a report about the bridge. And it tells about ratings, but I don't know, it tells you like previous inspections. So here's a random bridge I found, and it shows you the inspections, but it's only up to 2018. Anyways, you can check out that site if you want, bridgereports.com. Just it seems to go up to 2019 information if I'm reading it right, if I'm interpreting it right. Thank you, Matthew, for sending that in. Matthew Magnuson. H says, looks like it pulled the sign off. Well, I'm a little confused. There's the sign. There's a sign. But that sign the sign is here, right? I'm not even sure. I think this is the back of the sign, which was originally pointing in the other direction. See, if you look at the bridge, see over here it says Polk Street over here. Oh. Is that this way? Wait a second here. I lost the bridge. Polk Street. So that's... So the truck was going this way. The truck was going this way under this side of the bridge. That's the truck went through here. And I can tell that because in the picture, the Polk Street sign is over here, which is on the other side. So this is the sign here. I think this big thing here is this, I think. So something got caught up here. Did it get caught on this thing? Like this stuff up here? Sonic says it had a faded clearance side on it, but couldn't see the number. I mean, just eyeballing it, it's not that low. I mean, because that's a van. So it's not that low of a clearance. Anyways. There were some other pictures here. Let's look at these. No, do we look at these already? I don't think so. Oh, no, I think we saw these from Matthew Torres. Yeah, see, these are the two signs right there of that should be, the truck went under these two signs. Now, Diana points out that the front of the truck is damaged, which seems a bit odd. But I don't know, maybe the front of the truck is damaged because the truck got caught, and when the truck got caught, maybe the front of the truck, see now there's this stuff under here too. But maybe when the front of the truck got caught, it like the cab spun around and hit the wall or something. I'm not sure. I don't know that this is, I mean, maybe the truck, yes, the front of the truck looks like it got bashed in, but I'm wondering, is that just because when the back of the truck got caught, it somehow like spun around the truck or something? Thanks, by the way, Andrew Broadwater. I appreciate that, Andrew. Thank you. Also, thank you, Connie Fernandez. Connie says, my son had just gone under the FIU bridge here in Miami, was at the falling light when it fell. Wow. Thank you, Connie. Thanks for shouting out the mods as well. Yeah, we mentioned earlier the Florida International Bridge collapse. Here. That was like 3 years ago. Yeah, like here are some pictures of it. I believe they were constructing it, weren't they? There's one right there. See right here. That was the that was the one in Miami. I'm glad your son made it, Connie. That was very unfortunate. Yeah, that bridge was under construction. Hannikin says traffic is going to be awful. Well, now what they need to do is clear out the place. So in theory, I would think they could clear out the debris and then just open the road again. Because no cars go over the bridge. It's a pedestrian bridge. And see, another thing to notice about this bridge, which I just forget, is it's a pedestrian bridge. So it's not, pedestrian bridge is going to be definitely, smaller, and it's going to be significantly smaller than if it was carrying traffic. I was thinking to myself, wow, this bridge, it seems like more flimsy than a lot of bridges I've seen. Well, it's not carrying cars. It's not carrying a train. It's carrying people. That's all this bridge does. It's just a people bridge. That's all it carries. So it doesn't need to be that, again, it's not as, it's concrete. It's not insignificant, but it's not as big as it would be if it was carrying traffic. See, that's the width of it right there. Coffee Beard says he heard it wouldn't be open until tomorrow until 10. I'd have to check on the details about the traffic. Alibaba says this is a bridge strike, not a collapse. I do think there's, it's to describe it as a collapse has these implications that it was some kind of structural failure. And maybe it was in that the bridge is, I don't know if the bridge is supposed to withstand that kind of hit. But, when you first hear about it, you're like, oh, the bridge just gave way. And, what you have is this pedestrian bridge, and it got caught by the truck. I also wonder, is there any kind of weird thing where, like, if the truck was going through and the truck, here's my question. It's one thing if the truck just hits the bridge dead on, right? It's another thing if something on the truck gets caught on the sign or on one of these things up here and twists it. And what I'm wondering, again, I'm not a structural engineer, and even if I were, I don't know the specifics about all the forces involved here. But could there be, could it be that the bridge is made to withstand some kind of dead-on hit to it, but what it's not made to withstand is like some weird twisting? Like, did this get twisted around? If I have my pen, I can maybe draw it. So I'm just wondering, were there some kind of weird forces and stresses put on the structure because, this got twisted around here, hold on. Like this or something, maybe it caught the sign and starts pulling the structure, and something about the rotation and twisting was somehow something the bridge was not meant to handle. I don't know. I'm just wondering if that might, if something weird, the way it hit the bridge and twisted it, was that unanticipated that anybody would ever hit it like that? I don't know. It's just a thought I had. Marsheedsman says truck took out a bridge. Yeah, and it's a little, I don't know if it's correct to say that. It's a truck colliding with part of the bridge caused the bridge to collapse, but I don't know exactly what happened there. Right, Reader's Reel says it looks like it broke off of this part right here. Sonic says the bridge clearance was 14 feet. If you zoom in on structure, it looks like it was in need of love. But again, it got a 4 out of 9 poor rating when they observed it. But anyways, I guess I would be really interested to see, an explanation by the authorities, by like scientists, as to what exactly, I don't know if science is the right word, engineers might be the right word, of how exactly this thing ended up falling down. Yeah, and what you actually, and this is something Rita referred to, what you can see from this is, the bridge should be up here, and it's here. So it didn't just fall down, it fell down and forward, because this end of the bridge over here across the highway is still there. But you see that basically what you had is it went this way, because it should be over here, and now it's over here. Yar says, these types of incidents are demoralizing and depressing. Americans look at this and say, U.S. is in decline. Sonic says, if you look at the other direction, you can see the concrete chipping off. Oops, what did I do? Oh, no. That's it right there. If you want to look up the bridge yourself, that's the intersection. Lane Place Northeast and Kenilworth Avenue Northeast. That's where to find it. See, I don't know enough. So it does say clearance there. See, it says clearance. I don't know enough about any of this stuff to be able to look at it, to eyeball it and say, oh, it shouldn't be like that. I mean, it certainly looks old, but... And that's how it connects there. See, that's the connection. You know what's interesting also? All right, so the truck came under here, and then it came through here. So it's like this basically came out of here. I don't know how this is affixed here, but this is what came and moved. This ended up going this way. Vivian, I haven't heard of anybody walking across at the time of collapse. No, we heard 5 people were hurt. Nobody life-threatening. It's actually a very interesting, collapse and then question as to what exactly happened. I wonder if there's cameras in the area. I wonder if there's traffic cam that caught it. I don't know if there's traffic cams up here. Maybe there's one somewhere. What is this? If there is a traffic cam, they'll be able to tell exactly what happened. Is that a camera? I don't even know. That's a light. That's a camera right there, isn't it? Isn't that a camera? No? Maybe? Right here? I don't know. Maybe? That's underneath. Anyways. All right. Well, I think we'll move to the next story. It's a very interesting story, though. What I'm going to do is, hang on. This is in D.C., about 3.5 miles from the Capitol. That's where this is. H says, looks like it pulled the sign off. Fibbity Flu says, might be a roll-off truck with the bed raised. Fibbity Flu is wondering if it's something like this. The thing is, nobody said. I would think if it was some weird accident where the truck had its bed raised, you would hear that. Some eyewitness would have said, I was there and I saw this truck and it had the back raised. So I would be shocked if that's what happened, because just because you would have heard it from somebody. I mean, nobody has said that. Read is Real says, there are cameras all over the Beltway since 9/11. I bet they've got video. Yeah, as to who's responsible for it, whether it's state or federal, well, if it's in D.C., D.C. isn't a state. It's a federal territory. Margot says, maybe we need the facts. Wow, somebody's getting impatient. Margot. Wow. Margot is not happy. All right, there's more to talk about. I apologize. I need to take a quick 1-minute break. And then when we come back, we'll move on to next topic. We got to go to the next topic. This is an interesting topic, but we got to go to the next one. So give me 1 minute. I hope the people who got hurt were okay. Give me 1 minute, and I'm coming back. Okay, I am back. Give me 1 second here. What is this? Hold on a second here. Hang on. What is couple things. I have a question. I have two questions. First of all, I don't know. I saw this. This is this unconfirmed report from Intel Point Alerts that claims that 4 people got shot in Buffalo. I haven't seen anything else about this, so I'll see if I can find anything about it. So I'll look that up, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. And then there's like 2,100 people listening to like the Daytona Beach scanner. Does anybody know what's going on with that? I haven't heard anything about that. No, the Philippines president did not die. The former president of the Philippines passed away. Former president of the Philippines. Mrs. Heminger. Benigno Aquino, the former Philippine president, has died at 61, says Bloomberg Quick Take. Hang on, this is what I'll do. I just checked I'm checking various Buffalo news outlets. And no one's, here it is right here. Look, this is it. This is what he was talking about. This is what that report was. 4 people shot at, 2 children, 2 adults shot at park in Buffalo. This is what the story is. WKPW. It was posted an hour and a half ago. It was originally posted at 8:56. It's now 10:26. Buffalo police are investigating a shooting after several people were struck by gunfire at a park. A man began shooting at JFK Park. There is no information from police on a suspect. So it's not happening now. That story was posted an hour and a half ago. That's the story. If I hear more, I'll let you know. Hold on a second here. So that's unfortunate. I hope the people are okay. But that's that. And then Quiana says in Daytona Beach there's like a shooting involving a police officer. Okay. Here, that's probably what this is. A Daytona Beach police officer has been injured in a shooting. So that's from Fox 35 Orlando. So I'm guessing that's why people are listening to the scanner. A suspect remains as large. There's an active search underway. So, again, that's not something we would normally, unfortunately, these kind of things happen somewhat regularly. Yeah, Connie Fernandez sent me this from Molly Reed about Daytona shooting. Reports of officer shot. So again, I'll keep an eye on it. The story said that there was it looked like the officer had a bad injury. So I hope the officer's okay. Read is Real found an article somewhere, by the way. Getting one more thing about the truck that hit the bridge somehow and the bridge came down, the pedestrian bridge. Read is Real found this. It said the truck was partially trapped under the debris and leaked about 25 gallons of diesel fuel into nearby drains. A hazardous materials team put a substance down to absorb diesel and mitigate the risk to waterways. Okay, let's move on to a different topic. You are watching live. This is our live news roundup. This is Agenda Free TV 2 on YouTube, and on the other platforms, it's Agenda Free TV. So on YouTube, I have a main news channel, which is Agenda Free TV, and that's where we cover single big events. So, for example, earlier today on Agenda Free TV, we covered John McAfee was found dead in a Spanish prison. So we covered that. But on YouTube, sometimes there's two news channels, and sometimes we do live news roundups on Agenda Free, and those are on Agenda Free TV too. So if you're on YouTube and you like the coverage, make sure you're subscribed to both Agenda Free TV and Agenda Free TV 2. You can click the channels tab. If you're on one of the other platforms, it's just one news channel, Agenda Free TV. Everything's on there. Also, I want to say a big thanks to our moderators, who I really appreciate. Sarah Joy, Sarah 55, Lizzie. Thank you. Also, let's see here. Oh, I owe a thank you, by the way, also. Brian Wingett. Thank you for the Facebook stars, Brian Wingett. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. We got Duster Singer watching there in Facebook as well. Hello, Duster. And thank you to our moderators. Papa Bear's been moderating. Ellie Bourne. Thank you, moderators. Hold on a second here. No, Shaggy, I'm not going to turn on the scanner for the Daytona story because it's just, we heard what happened, an officer got shot, and so they're looking for a suspect, I guess. It's just not normally what I would cover on a scale. And we normally just wouldn't cover that in that level of detail. Hey, I want to talk about the Iran story. That's interesting. I want to talk about that. Let's talk about that. So, here, hang on. So earlier today, I remember, I don't know, what was it, this morning sometime? I remember reading this story, which was like, the story was like, Iran says they foil an attack. The original story was Iran says they foil an attack on their nuclear, on a nuclear building, on a building affiliated with their nuclear program. That was the original story, and it turns out maybe actually they didn't foil the attack. See, originally, look. The original story I saw, which I retweeted, was 17 hours ago. An Iranian news site close to security services says that authorities have thwarted a sabotage attack on the country's civilian nuclear program on a specific building. But other stories have come out saying actually the attack did some damage. I don't know if this was Israel who did it. You can see here. Jerusalem Post, Iran atomic facility substantially damaged in attack, sources. Iran claimed throughout the day the sabotage failed and caused no damage or casualties. So periodically, facilities related to nuclear power and possibly nuclear weapons in Iran have things happen to them. And it's widely believed that Israel is responsible. So Jerusalem Post is reporting that a sabotage operation against one of the buildings of Iran's atomic energy organization caused major damage, despite Iranian denials, the Jerusalem Post learned Wednesday night. Although Iran has claimed throughout the day the sabotage failed and caused no damage or casualties, the Jerusalem Post has been given strong indications otherwise, although it has no way to independently confirm. Okay? So, an informed source said the later denied the incident, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's something in the New York Times about what the incident was. So look, despite Iranian claims on Wednesday, both in July 2020 and April 2021, the Islamic Republic initially lied to global media in trying to downplay sabotage operations of key nuclear facilities at Natanz. In both cases, Iranian officials initially claimed the damage was minor and a routine accident, but it wasn't. Those officials then admitted that Iran's centrifuge program for enriching uranium was massively set back, over only several days, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, there's been cases recently when Iran said there wasn't any big damage, and actually damage was worse than they said it was. So Jerusalem Post believes this is a similar thing. And then there was a story in the New York Times mentioning this. So you can see Elint News found this in the New York Times. New York Times reports a drone which took off from inside Iran, targeted and then hit the structure of a building in Iran that was a main manufacturing center for the production of centrifuges used at Fordow and Natanz, quoting Middle East and Iranian intel sources. Centrifuges are what are used to enrich uranium, which ends up being the fuel, which you need to do if you enrich uranium. If you want to make fuel for nuclear weapons, you have to enrich uranium. So centrifuges can be used in nuclear weapon production, and they're a key part of it. So you can see here, Iran Atomic Agency says it thwarted attack on facility. That's what Iran says. The attack was said to have been carried out by a small drone against a manufacturing center used in the production of centrifuges. It says here, the attack was carried out by a small quadcopter drone, according to Iranian media and the Iranian familiar with the attack. While no one claimed responsibility, the centrifuge factory, known as the Iran Centrifuge Technology Company, was on a list of targets that Israel presented to the Trump administration early last year. The Israeli government did not comment on the attack. The drone appeared to have taken off from inside Iran from a location not far from the site and hit the structure. The person did not know what, if any, damage had resulted. If the attack was thwarted, it would be a welcome victory for Iran's embattled intelligence and security agencies, which have been blamed for failing to stop a series of attacks over the past year, including 2 acts of sabotage on the Natanz nuclear facility and the assassination of Iran's top nuclear scientist. But again, they're saying that Iran is saying it's foiled the attack. It was on a building that was one of Iran's main manufacturing centers for the production of centrifuges. But Jerusalem Post is saying they have information suggesting that the facility was substantially damaged. We don't know. Beth Stannard says, trust nothing coming out of Iran or China. Canadian Sunset says, Iran will and can do very little. Erie says, if Iran ups enrichment or threatens more nuclear weapons, Israel will respond. Elizabeth G says, lots of stuff going on in Iran. Iran also had one of their biggest ship mysteriously sink a few weeks ago. This was a few weeks ago. Iran's largest warship catches fire and sinks in Gulf of Oman. Now, I don't know if it was ever explained why this happened. This is an AP article from a few weeks ago. Iranian officials offered no cause for the fire on board the ship, though they said an investigation had begun. The fire aboard that warship followed a series of mysterious explosions that began in 2009, targeting commercial ships in the Gulf of Oman. Well, but a lot of those were not Iranian ships. There were some. The U.S. and other countries accused Iran of targeting ships. So I don't know what this was about. But let me take some more comments here from you guys. Our viewer Valton says, will Iran's new president feel forced to respond to this aggression? Well, I think that, the person who's really in power in Iran is the supreme leader. I believe it's Khamenei. Am I right? No, or am I wrong about that? Ali Khamenei. So I don't know, I don't know that the new president would this is an ongoing thing. So also, but who knows? Maybe there's covert stuff Iran would do to respond. But I wouldn't expect, with these events. Well, first of all, let me say this. I don't think if the story Iran is telling publicly is that they thwarted an attack on their facility, they're not going to have some big public response because they have nothing to respond to if they're correct in that they thwarted the attack. See if I find anything else about this. This is in the Times of Israel. Attack on Iranian nuclear site damaged centrifuge production facility reports. Despite Tehran's claims to the contrary, opposition sources say attempted sabotage was successful, hitting complex previously sanctioned by the U.S. and UN. I think they're talking about the Jerusalem Post report, I think. This could not be independently confirmed immediately. Iran did not identify who was behind the attack. It has accused Israel of conducting similar strikes on its nuclear facilities in recent years. Regarding this facility, where the centrifuges are, that I guess was attacked, though Iran maintains the Karaj facility is used for civilian purposes, it has been subjected to United Nations, European, and American sanctions since at least 2007 for being involved in Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. That's from, according to unverified reports from Iranian opposition-aligned outlets, the specific target of the attack on Wednesday was a factory that manufactures parts for Iran's centrifuges. The attempted sabotage appeared to be the latest in a series of attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities in recent months, many of which have been attributed to Israel. That's from Times of Israel. So just whenever you hear of an explosion or a fire in Iran, you immediately think, is that Israel doing it? Okay. So I'll let you know if I hear anything big more on that. I will certainly pass it along. All right, let's go to a different story. There was this story that came out. It's a little. This story is. Whenever I read about it, I have a little bit of a problem trying to figure out what exactly the story is supposed to be about. So, a couple people wrote to me about this. Elizabeth G., we talked about the web domain stuff being seized last night. By the way, I assume presstv.com is still not working. Yeah, that's Press TV is English language popular news site, popular among some people, that is run by Iran's government. And the U.S. has seized it along with a bunch of other Iranian sites. We talked about that last night, the seize the domain. So last night on our stream, it was actually working. It's not working right now. Aries thinks it was Israel who did the attack. Mantronic says likely Israel. Oh, the British ship in Russia, Tony, maybe I'll talk about that. It's a whole weird thing, too. But thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Thank you, Tony. But first, let me just mention this. So, there have been these instances of bodies being found at schools in Canada. And that doesn't mean that, like last year, there was a mass execution. These are bodies that have been, I guess, buried at these schools over the years, over the decades, it sounds like. And it's a little confusing because when I read the stories about it, like, I don't really get the big picture. I think the big picture is something like a lot of natives, indigenous people went to these schools and maybe they were mistreated and then they would die at the school and then they would just bury the bodies rather than return them to the place that the people had come from. I think it's something like that. But I've been trying to get like a better grasp on the story. So what you see here, this came out tonight. It says hundreds of bodies found in unmarked graves at former Saskatchewan residential school. But now these bodies, I mean, the school has been operating, I think, since 1899 or something like that. A Saskatchewan First Nation, that would be indigenous people, said it has made the horrific and shocking discovery of hundreds of unmarked graves, many believed to be children near a former residential school, with a total expected to be over 600. The leaders of Cowessess First Nation are supposed to talk more about this at a news conference tomorrow, press conference tomorrow. The remains are unmarked graves in a communal grave site first used in 1885, but eventually taken over by the Maryville Indian Residential School, founded and operated by the Roman Catholic Church beginning in 1899. Okay. Discovery comes just after, less than a month after the unthinkable discovery of the remains of 215 indigenous children, many as young as 3 years old, in unmarked graves in the Kamloops Indian Residential School outside Kamloops, BC. Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission determined that at least 3,200 Indigenous children died while attending residential school, and that the general practice was not to send the bodies of the students who died at schools to their home communities. Many students who went to residential school never returned. They were lost to their families. They died at rates that were far higher than those experienced by the general school-age population. Their parents were often uninformed of their sickness and death. They were buried away from their families in long-neglected graves. So I don't know if the idea that well, look at this. It says down here, students at the Marieville Indian Residential School were no exception to, well, hold on a second. Blah, 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 blah. No exception to that. According to information, blah, 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 blah. Reports dating back to 1919 note that authorities expected school staff to physically dominate students, and that an Indian agent refused to transfer a student to another school because he feared that the other boys may form an opinion that the brother in charge is afraid of the big boys, blah, blah, blah. A female student's hair was forcibly cut into an unusual as punishment, blah, blah. So I guess the idea, if I'm understanding the story right, the idea is that there are these schools in Canada which were schools that taught Indigenous people, Indigenous citizens, like comparable to how Native Americans would be there, but I guess Native Canadians you might call them. And that I guess the idea is that the students were mistreated and a number of them died, and they were just like their bodies were just buried and they weren't sent back to the families. I think this is it, but I'm going to look for some more comments from you guys. But that's my general understanding. WTX Railfan says, no telling what horrors were perpetuated against those poor children. Kimberly says, I've heard the abuse story is very disturbing. Tony says, I think there's a documentary on this about the schools. Sarah 55. Now, Sarah is in Canada. Sarah says they weren't taught, they were trying to wipe out their culture. I'll see if I can find a different article about it. I haven't read up much on this, and I just started hearing about this like last week or something. So I know some of you are much more familiar than me with the story. Maxworth says the residential schools were designed to eliminate the Indigenous culture. So here's an article here. U.S. to review Native American boarding schools. Oh, this is in America. I want to focus on the Canada one, not U.S. CBC explains your questions answered about Canada's residential school system. Okay. Indigenous people in Canada, a painful history they've known about all along. How many children were forced to attend these schools? These are I guess Canada's residential school system. More than 150,000 First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children were forced to attend church-run, government-funded schools between the 1870s and 1997. An amendment to the Indian Act in 1894 made attendance at residential schools compulsory. Children were removed from their families and culture and forced to learn English, embrace Christianity, and adopt the customs of the country's white majority. This is from CBC. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation, examining residential schools, has identified the names of or information about more than 4,100 children who died while attending these schools, most due to malnourishment or disease. A former senator who chaired the Truth and Reconciliation Commission examining residential schools said he believes the death count could be much higher because of the school's poor burial records. Okay, there were, it says, There were 139 recognized residential schools. At the peak of the residential school system, there were about 80 schools operating in the country. The last one to close was in 1997. What has the Vatican said or done about this? The Catholic Church operated roughly 70% of Canada's residential schools, while other churches have formally apologized for their rules in the residential school system. The Catholic Church has so far refused to do the same. The Pope in 2009 expressed sorrow for some of the deplorable conduct of church members. However, many individual Catholic Church leaders in Canada have made apologies, both before and after the discovery of the bodies in Kamloops. So that's a bit of a summary from CBC. And again, the news that came out tonight were that hundreds of bodies, sounds like over 600, were discovered in unmarked graves. I believe unmarked graves. Yes. Near this one school, which was operating from like 1899 to the late 20th century, until it closed in 1987. So again, if you see the headline, you're not familiar with the story, you're like, wait a second, like was there a mass killing of the students like last year? No, that's not what's happening. But the idea is that over the years, indigenous students died at these schools, and there was a lot of mistreatment apparently going on, and it's, who knows what they died of, but also the bodies, in addition to them dying at the school, more than you would expect people to die at a school, there's also the issue of the bodies not being sent back to the families and just being disposed of in unmarked graves. Denise Horton, who's in Canada, says the Pope refuses to address the past, won't apologize, won't hand over records. Nicole says the last residential schools closed in 1996. Tom Steele says, I live in a town on Pacific coast of Vancouver Island. There are terrible stories. Many of the buildings are still standing, and they fight to stop them from being torn down so the truth will come out. Nicole says the three indigenous groups in Canada are the Métis, First Nations, and Inuit. Sarah 55 says the government got rid of all the records. The only records in existence are in possession of the Catholic Church. Métis. Pronounced May. Oh, May. Métis. Or is it Métis? The Métis.
Métis.
Oh, this says Métis. Métis, okay. A person of mixed indigenous and Euro-American ancestry. In particular, blah, 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 blah. But some people are saying Métis in our chat. Maybe this says Métis, but some people are saying Métis. Métis. Okay, the chat says Métis. Yeah, Ohio Overland, we talked about the shooting in Daytona Beach. There's like 8,000 people listening to the scanner, but as far as I'm aware, what happened is an officer got shot. That got reported a while ago. So they're looking for a suspect. Yeah, there's a search for the suspect. Look. Claire Metz. This is a half an hour ago. An officer has been shot and wounded on Kingston Street near Beach Street in Daytona Beach. Search for suspect ongoing. Thank you, Tony. Tony says Indian Horse on Netflix. Also, we were children. Tony says Indian Horse, a Canadian First Nations boy survives in a residential school in the 70s. Indian Horse is a 2017 Canadian drama film. A First Nations boy who survives Canada Indian residential school system and become a star ice hockey player. So Tony recommends that. And We Were Children, which Tony mentioned, is a Canadian documentary film about the experiences of First Nations children in the Canadian Indian residential school system. Thank you, Tony, for the recommendations. Okay, thanks to you guys for the further details on this story. Anna Arrow Ace Arena says, I've been following that topic since I was a young kid. Huge list like we see in other organizations, but some seem not to address it. Zipper says, I just learned of this in the last few months. Now, what do we have to do as a nation to make up for this? For we are a nation of laws. I think Zipper's in Canada. Right, as Honey Herzo said, we're talking this story. It's about these schools in Canada. Rick says Métis would probably be the French Canadian pronunciation, Métis being the anglicized pronunciation. TJ says very emotional to watch Indian Horse. Melly Belly says, sadly, this is just the tip of the iceberg for the story, as the government is going to start looking into other residential school grounds, a lot expected to be found in Ontario. Well, thank you for your perspective and information. Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye out for more developments in that. Now I see the number of people listening to the scanner is down to 7,000. It was 8,000. So I don't know if anything was going on in the scanner, but Kimberly says, I think we should not assume they were all tortured and murdered, but not denying the abuse and horror of taking kids away from the parents. Yeah, when it says that they found these bodies, I don't, I have no idea. There may very well have been some students who just died of natural causes, but one of the articles said that the deaths of the students were greater than would normally be expected for people of that age. I wonder if there was a scanner alert that went out. I remember a couple days ago, I looked at the scanner and there might have been like 10,000 people watching something. And I was like, there was nothing going on there. And then I think what happened is there was like somehow like an accidental alert gets set out. So I think some people get alerts. And then if they get a certain kind of alert, they go to the scanner. Because, again, I'm not aware that, all I know is that, as of like an hour ago, it was being reported that a officer got shot. I haven't listened to it yet, but Rita says they shut down I-95 to try to catch whoever shot the police officer. Sarah 55 says these people need to know their voices are being heard finally. I'll turn on the scanner just for a second to see what's on there, because I'm wondering, why are so many people listening to it? Sonic says no alerts for me on the app. I just don't know why so many people would be listening to it. That's a lot of people, given the story. I'll check. Let me just see what is happening on that scanner. I'm just interested in seeing what they're talking about. Now the number of people just went down again listening. Yeah, it was at like 8,000 people. Now it's 6,600. I'm guessing they're just looking for the suspect.
Reference to the possible suspect vehicle. It's going to be a California tag of 7 Tango November X-ray 532. Repeating, California 7 Tango November X-ray 532. It's showing on a 2016 Honda utility.
So they're talking about that's like the suspect's vehicle.
3 Echo 22. Can you switch to track 1?
Oh, and you see what happened is
Email.
I think they've gone to a tactical channel. See, that person said that, and then the other person said, "Can you switch to TAC 1?" Which I think is go to the TAC channel, which is encrypted, which is not going to be a public. I'm listening to a public scanner, a publicly available one. You can't listen when they're on the TAC scanner. At least I can't. So my guess is that all of their details about trying to find this suspect are now not going to be on this scanner. They're going to be on the tactical scanner. Now it's just quiet. We just happened to catch them talking about the suspect's vehicle, but then the person told the other person, "Can you go to TAC 1?"
Go to Cassidy. Go ahead, sir. Are you Beach in Kingston? We got some more intel. I'm walking that way now. All right, I'll meet you right there.
Yeah, so, this is not... It's not something we would do its own stream for, just because the channel is if we're on the news roundup, I don't mind listening to it for a few minutes, but it's not. The channel would end up being 24 hours a day listening to scanner trying to track down a suspect. But see, I'm not even hearing that much on this scanner, so.
Just information. The suspect vehicle is a 2016 Honda HRV. 2016 Honda HRV.
Just you can if you want to listen to the scanner, you can look up Daytona Beach scanner. Just Google it, and I'm guessing you'll find a link if you look up Daytona Beach scanner. So. Kitty Black says, soon you won't be able to listen to anything, i.e. police scanners anymore. I'm sorry. I know some places they've encrypted them.
operating?
I think I'm going to, in a second, stop with the scanner, but you guys can keep listening to it if you want.
Can you go to TAC 2?
Yeah, see, can you go to TAC 2? They're on tactical channels. So, all right, that was it. I checked in on the scanner. Now, maybe it was more active before they went to the TAC channel. Anyways. Zipper said he heard the officer was in critical condition. Yeah, Rita sent me this officer's in critical condition, which is terrible. But, unfortunately, this is a pretty regular occurrence where an officer gets shot. So it's terrible. One of our officers radioed he was on Kingston Ave, investigating a suspicious vehicle. The officer stopped responding to other units. Officer responded his location where he was found. Officers responded to his location, found where he was found lying on the ground suffering from a gunshot wound. Critical condition. So was investigating a suspicious vehicle and then got shot. So I hope the officer survives. That was from Samantha Sosa. Okay, let's move on to a different topic. Why don't we do that? Let's move on to a different topic. Yeah, Tony had mentioned this ship. It's such a weird story. So basically what happened is, Russia, I think in 2014, invaded and took over Crimea, which was part of Ukraine. Russia just took it over, right? So Russia considers Crimea part of Russia. Here's Crimea. But I would say most other countries consider it part of Ukraine. So what the UK did today is earlier today, the UK sent a warship that passed close to Crimea. And Russia considers Crimea part of Russia. So when the ship passed close to Crimea, Russia said, you're in our territorial water. Whereas the UK doesn't think of it as Russia's territorial water because the UK considers Crimea still part of Ukraine. And then Russia claimed they fired warning shots at the ship, but the UK denied that. And then a reporter on the ship said, well, I heard some shots, but they were in the distance. But there were a bunch of aircraft flying over the UK ship, and there were ships close to it. So that's basically what happened. Is the UK, sent a ship pretty close to Crimea, to make a statement. I think that hey, we don't consider Crimea part of Russia, and then Russia took exception to that. So that's the basic summary of what happened. Now, if you look at here, right, so Russian jets and ships shadow British warship. Jonathan Beale was actually on the ship. He's a reporter. More than 20 Russian aircraft and 2 Coast Guard ships have shadowed a British warship sailing near Crimea. Now, Russia claimed a patrol ship fired warning shots and a jet dropped bombs in the path of the UK ship, but the UK government denied that. The UK government rejected Russia's account of the incident and denied that any warning shots had been fired. A correspondent from the BBC on the warship said it was harassed by Russia's military. Aircraft could be heard overhead. Jonathan Beale. He said, I am on board the warship in the Black Sea. The crew were already at action stations when they approached the southern tip of Russian-occupied Crimea. So there's Crimea, and the ship went close to Crimea. Weapon systems on board the Royal Navy destroyer had already been loaded. This would be a deliberate move to make a point to Russia. The point being that UK doesn't believe Crimea belongs to Russia. HMS Defender was going to sail within the 12-mile limit of Crimea's territorial waters. The captain insisted he was only seeking safe passage to an internationally recognized shipping lane. 2 Russian Coast Guard ships that were shadowing the Royal Navy warship tried to force it to alter its course. At one stage, one of the Russian vessels closed into about 100 meters away. Increasingly hostile warnings were issued over the radio, including one that said, "If you don't change course, I'll fire." We did hear some firing in the distance, but they were believed to be well out of range. As the UK ship sailed through the shipping lane, it was buzzed by Russian jets. The captain said the ship detected more than 20 military aircraft nearby. Commander Owen said his mission was confident but non-confrontational. So that's what that was that story. Now, of course, when this kind of thing happens, it is risky because, maybe by accident a ship gets hit by another ship or a ship gets fired upon, and then who knows what happens after that. Chris Colombo says the history of Crimea and Russia and Ukraine goes on for decades. Sonic said, hadn't seen this. Well, it was weird because when the story initially came out, it was just Russia reporting it. And there were reports saying, ship fired upon by Russia. But then the UK came out and said no. Polly says, Russia is posturing. They do it all the time in UK airspace, northeast Scotland. That said, I do think the UK is also posturing. Aries says, Crimea is Ukrainian land, not Russia. Well, Russia did invade it and take it over 7 years ago. Give me a shout on Twitter if you have comments, @Lookner. John Elliott says, Russia was training an area I heard. By the way, going back to the story of the Canadian schools that they put the indigenous children into, throughout the 20th century. Leanne Tickner, our viewer, says, first of all, Duster Singer said that's how terrible. Leanne Tickner says, there's stories of the children being mistreated in these schools. Leanne Tickner says, both Canada and USA forcibly put Native American kids in these schools. Now, I am not familiar with the American schools. So this is a, oops, what is that? Hold on a second here. American Indian boarding schools, Wikipedia. They were established in the U.S. in the early 19th and mid-20th centuries with the primary objective of civilizing or assimilating Native American children and youth into Euro-American culture. In the process, these schools denigrated Native American culture and made children give up language and religion that they originally had. At the same time, the schools provided a basic education in Euro-American subjects. These boarding schools were first established by Christian missionaries of various denominations. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the government paid religious orders to provide basic education to Native American children on reservations. Children were typically immersed in European American culture. Schools forced removal of indigenous cultural signifiers, cutting the children's hair, having them wear American-style uniforms, forbidding them from speaking their indigenous languages, and replacing their tribal names with English language names. for use at the schools as part of assimilation or to Christianize them. These schools were usually harsh and sometimes deadly, especially for younger children who had been forcibly separated from their families and forced to abandon their Native American identities and cultures. Investigators of the later 20th century have revealed many documented cases of sexual, manual, physical, and mental abuse occurring mainly in church-run schools. The National Museum of the American Indian also notes that some students had good memories of their school days, having learned skills and made lifelong friends. By 2007, most of the schools had closed down and the number of Native American children in boarding schools had declined to 9,500. The remaining ones are primarily under Native American control. You can read more about this at Wikipedia, American Indian boarding schools. But they had them, as a couple of our viewers said, in the U.S. too. Polly says the Catholic Church did this all over North America. I wonder if perhaps Canada is being more open about it. Read Israel says this is just so wrong on every level. I mean, I can certainly understand the desire to teach children skills they might need to function in a different world than what they are used to. However, when you get to like eliminating their culture and not letting them speak their language and, of course, abuse, then that's different, obviously. Melly Belly said they wanted the Indian kids to learn English and become white. They lost their culture's native tongue. Many that wouldn't conform were abused or went missing. A bad stain on Canadian history. Oh, by the way, thank you. Eric sent this to me, guys. The sheriff of Volusia County released a reward poster. Mike Chitwood, sheriff of Volusia County. At Sheriff Chitwood. Yes. Volusia Sheriff retweeted this. $100,000 reward for info leading to the capture of the suspect who shot a Daytona Beach police officer tonight. Vehicle is a gray Honda HR-V. That's the suspect. He should be considered armed and dangerous. So there you go. That was just posted 6 minutes ago by the Volusia Sheriff. Thank you, Eric, for letting me know. Have I talked about Britney Spears yet? Maybe we'll wrap this up by talking a little about Britney Spears. My problem with the whole Britney Spears thing is I see this. So Britney Spears went into court today and said she wanted to enter conservatorship. I know that. And the basic idea, I watched the documentary, I don't even remember. I think the basic idea is that at one point she was having like mental problems and like she was put under a conservatorship because it was thought that like she couldn't take care of her own business. She couldn't take care of herself basically. So it's like for your own good. And now she doesn't want to have it. But in the coverage that I see from today, all I see is literally like Britney Spears says she doesn't want this conservatorship and it's terrible and they've mistreated her. Fine, and maybe that's true. But like I don't see an actual analysis like from a legal perspective, because I would think that anyone, so like is it anybody who's put under a conservatorship because they're like having like mental issues could come out and say, well, they're mistreating me. So how does it work? I mean, like, how does the system work legally? you know, and I mean, obviously also, you know, like when somebody, like she came out and basically said she's been mistreated, and we can talk about the details. I don't want to get too into it, but like, so she very well might have, right? So I'm not saying she's a liar. I'm just saying though, but the system, I'm guessing the system is not, I'm sure the system is not, if the person who's under conservatorship says they're being mistreated, well, that the conservatorship end. Because then anybody could just say, well, you know, they're mistreating me. So what happens if the person's not being honest about that? So I want some analysis of the situation, because the coverage I see is basically just, oh, Britney's telling the truth and this is terrible and the conservatorship should end. So I just want somebody to kind of lay out the other side. Can somebody lay out the other side? I mean, from what I've heard, I have a lot of sympathy for her, but it's not really covering the story to me to say Britney Spears said this, and it's this gross injustice, and she should be freed immediately, with with at least no consideration of a possible other side. So I just want to hear both sides. That's all I want, you know, before I jump to conclusions. And I actually think it also just so I can understand what's going on better. So that's all I'm saying. And I'm not an expert on this, and I don't want to get lost in the details, and I'll read a little bit more on it, and I'll take some comments from you guys. But again, just to be clear, I have sympathy for her position, but I'd like to understand more. Again, it's not covering it to just say, she said this, she's been treated horribly, stop the conservatorship. That's not covering the story. I want to know more about, again, the both sides and the legal aspect of it. Because surely, not that it's the case here, but surely there are cases where somebody is put under a conservatorship and they say they want out, and a neutral party would say, well, no, they probably shouldn't be let out. So how does this get judged and determined? So look, this is a little background here from page 6. The conservatorship was put in place in 2008 following Britney's public breakdown in 2007. A recent documentary titled Framing Britney Spears spotlighted how severe media scrutiny had led to her downfall with substance abuse and mental health issues. However, over the years, Britney has garnered support from diehard fans known as Free Britney activists who have questioned the necessity of the conservatorship, given that the singer has continued to expand her career with new albums and a successful 4-year residency stint in Las Vegas. Conservatorships are usually reserved for people who have severe mental disabilities or elderly folks who suffer from dementia and cannot make sound decisions for themselves. Okay? So that's the basic background here. And there's all this detail to it. And then just in the interest of just fairness, if you haven't followed what happened today, she came out and said she was being really mistreated in this conservatorship. Look, Britney Spears. Here's a New York Times article. In a rare public appearance in court, the singer gave an impassioned speech about her treatment under the conservatorship that controls her life, telling the judge she would like it to end. She said she had been drugged, compelled to work against her will, and prevented from removing her birth control device over the past 13 years as she pleaded with the court to end her father's legal control of her life. She says, I've been in denial, I've been in shock, I am traumatized. There's, I guess, a whole recording of her talking today. 23 minutes she spoke for. I just want my life back. It's the first time the world had heard Miss Spears address in detail her struggles with the conservatorship granted to her father, James Spears, in 2008, when concerns about her mental health and potential substance abuse led him to petition the court for legal authority over his adult daughter. Miss Spears called for the arrangement to end without her having to be evaluated. She said, "I shouldn't be in a conservatorship if I can work. The laws need to change." Okay. Fine. The singer has lived under a two-pronged conservatorship in California, covering her person and her estate since 2008, when concerns about her mental health and potential substance abuse led Mr. Spears to petition the court for authority over his daughter. He currently oversees her nearly $60 million fortune alongside a professional wealth management firm she requested. Okay. She said she claimed that she had been forced to tour, undergo psychiatric evaluations, and take medication in 2019. For years, fans and observers have questioned how Miss Spears has continued to qualify for conservatorship, sometimes known as a guardianship, which is typically a last resort for people who cannot care for themselves, including those with serious disabilities or dementia. In 2016, she told a court investigator she wanted the conservatorship to end as soon as possible. At the time, the investigator, who's responsible for periodic evaluations that are provided to the judge, concluded that the conservatorship remained in her best interest because of her complex finances, susceptibility to undue influence, and intermittent drug issues. But the report also called for a pathway to independence in the eventual termination of the conservatorship. So there's some background in here. I don't really get the specific legal issues around this. So I don't know, given that she's in it, I'm guessing this is out there, right? So I haven't gone out of my way to research it, but I'm guessing there's obviously very specific laws about this in California and what she would normally need to do to get out of it and all that stuff, and I'm not familiar with that. Zipper says, "I say free Brit and let her decide her own future." Diana L. says, "Probably causing her to use drugs." TJ says, "I wish her the best and to get her life back." I certainly do wish her the best, I'll tell you that. Diana L. says, "And someone determining if you can have your IUD removed." Well, you can, look, the idea of that would be if somebody, so just take the extreme case. Take somebody who's just incredibly mentally unwell and unstable and maybe violent. You can understand why, if that person was under a conservatorship, you could imagine a case where it would be in the person's best interest to not let them have children, right? I'm not talking about this case specifically. I'm just saying, because I see, she said, she said, where was the thing with the IUD where she said she wanted to have a kid and they wouldn't let her or something like that? Let's see. Yes. Miss Spears said she had been prevented from going to the doctor to remove her IUD method of birth control. "This so-called team won't let me go to the doctor and take it out because they don't want me to have children," she said. "I want to be able to get married and have a baby." Now, I see some people respond to this and they say, how can you ever tell somebody control whether they have kids or not? But remember, she's in a conservatorship. So regardless of her situation, surely you can imagine a situation in which it would make sense to not let somebody have a child if they were so mental, if they had such deep mental problems that they just were incapable of taking care of the kid and maybe would hurt the kid, right? I mean, I don't think it's hard to imagine that kind of case. I'm not saying this is that kind of case. What I'm saying is to just I see a lot of response to this of like, how can anyone tell a person to do that? Well, remember, it's a conservatorship. The idea is it's for people who just like are mentally not able to take care of themselves. Now, you might think that you might think, well, she is able to take care of herself. But then the problem you should have is not that under a conservatorship you can control whether somebody has kids. The problem you actually have is that she's under a conservatorship, period. And a couple of you are mentioning that she's working. Diana Ells then says, then she couldn't work and make them money. Reader's Real says, I completely understand why someone who's unwell enough to help with their physical health and well-being, but she can be pimped out to work when she doesn't want to and doesn't have to. Nunzi says, I think the dad is pulling the strings for his benefit. So I understand that concern, certainly. So, and again, so I don't know, I am not the person who's been following every detail of this. And I can certainly, I understand the position people who say, like, she should not be under this, and this is taking advantage for her and all that. I understand that position. I don't feel comfortable taking a firm opinion myself, given my utter lack of familiarity with the specifics. But it's certainly not, it's an unfortunate situation. Anyways, if somebody finds an article which is just like a pure legal analysis of the situation, I would be interested in seeing that. But I hope for her sake she reaches they can reach a resolution of this in which she is happy. And then there's something about the kitchen cabinets, and I don't really, again, I am not the person. Many people out there know way more about the details than me. So I can't really intelligently comment on this. Kid Spot. Britney investigation. I'm not even allowed to change the color of kitchen cabinets. Lady Bell says, I loved her and I saw that breakdown. If she's better, great. Do the evaluation and off her meds. That way she can't hurt herself or anyone else. Yeah, so a question I would like to answer, again, I know nothing about this, is, okay, so if she's better, can they do a thing where she just gets like a professional evaluation and just shows she's okay? She said, I guess she said she wanted to just not have that be required. So I just don't know. Sarah55 says, in my opinion, she only had a breakdown because her father overworked her. If I remember right, and I'm sorry, I watched the documentary and I don't remember, there may have been questions about why she was put under conservatorship in the first place, and I just don't remember the details. I am not equipped to speak intelligently on it. But again, I guess the big deal today was that she spoke about it in court. As the New York Times said in their article, where is it here? It said, in a rare public appearance in court. It was the first time the world had heard Miss Spears address in detail her struggles with the conservatorship granted her father in 2008. So it was a big deal that she spoke about it in court in such detail. The documentary is called, what was it, Freeing Britney? I can't remember. Watch Framing Britney Spears. See? You can watch Framing Britney Spears. Our documentary is free on our site on the New York Times. So you can check that out. See, Michelle Sparks says she would have to be off her meds, and okay, meds fluctuate by her will to take them. See, and I don't even know how that works. And again, what I don't know is what is the standard for somebody who's under a conservatorship to get off the conservatorship. Michelle R. says there are many mentally challenged people that live their own lives successfully with proper treatment. She should be able to. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not more of an expert on the Britney Spears situation. Ralph Macchio says she is not mentally challenged. WTF. GJK says she's not mentally ill at all. Ralph Macchio says conservatorships aren't made for millionaire working pop stars. They're made for old people dying with money. Duster Singer says she should have say over her own life. John Ginty, our viewer, says they were protecting her. If not, she would be broke by now. Duster says, I think the family wanted to control her money. John Elliott had a comment on the previous story we were covering about the children in the native schools in Canada. John Elliott says, Pope has never given an apology for children found in graves. Sorry if off topic, but I had to get that out. All right. What condition has she been diagnosed with? Again, these are specific questions that I don't know the answer to. I'll have to read this. I'll have to read this when we get off the air, I guess. I can look through. Void Moon sent me this. Void Moon sent me an article from Variety. It says a legal expert explains why pop star's unprecedented conservative case is highly abnormal. But it's a whole article here. Uh, you don't work with Britney and have never been involved with her case, but your legal expertise of conservatorships of estates or estates, does it appear something is not right with her case? And then this person they talk to, who's a legal expert, is the person they talk to in this article in Variety is, who did they talk to? Blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Legal expert Sarah Wentz. Okay? And she says a conservatorship is supposed to be an absolute, they ask her, they say, a conservatorship is supposed to be an absolute last resort. She says, absolutely. And then, does it appear that there's something not right with the case? And what she says is, I would have had to have seen the evidence that they presented in front of the court to determine it wasn't right. But what I will say it's highly unusual, which makes me think there must be shocking, overwhelming evidence to show this is necessary. This just doesn't happen. The standard under California law is that there is clear and convincing evidence. That's a high bar. So it means they've determined there is no way for her to manage her financial affairs without someone completely removing them from her own hands. I can't say if it's wrong, but the evidence would have to have been so over the top and egregious for a judge to be letting this continue for as long as it has. So what the point is here, and this is a good point, we don't know we don't know, it's not public, what evidence was presented, I assume, by the father and anybody else who was involved for the team that was arguing for the conservatorship, the legal team. They presented evidence in court that said, here's why we think Britney should not be allowed to take care of her own affairs. And what the legal expert is saying here in this article from Variety, which was from April, was saying, well, she's saying, well, I can't tell you if it's wrong that she's in this conservatorship because I haven't seen the evidence that was presented. She's saying, if the judge actually went along with this conservatorship in this case, there must have been some crazy evidence it had to be really strong evidence that she couldn't handle her own affairs. Now but she doesn't know what it is, and I guess we don't know what it is. So, which is a good point. Could you even think of a possibility of what evidence that might be? What I think of is a judge must have seen to keep this in place. It makes me think there must be something that's over the top they would think that's absolutely necessary. But to play the devil's advocate, if that's the case, then why would her lawyers be asking to unseal the documents? If there's something so egregious, her lawyers must know that if they unseal the documents, all this stuff is going to come out. So that fights against the argument that there is all of this egregious evidence. Is it typical all the documents would be sealed as they are in Britney's case? No, absolutely not. It sounds like it's an extremely high bar for a judge to approve a conservatorship. And then the legal expert says it would be fascinating to see what the judge thought was so clear and convincing that wouldn't allow Britney to make her own decisions, because technically you're allowed to blow your money and you're allowed to make stupid decisions in life, whether it's marrying the wrong person or giving all your money away. As long as you have the ability to tell the judge, I wanted to do this, then you're allowed to do it. Isn't it plausible the original circumstance that put her under conservatorship could change over the course of 13 years? Wouldn't that be a reason the court might consider removing her? Yes. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, blah, 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 blah. You need to prove you can manage your own care needs. Housing, clothing, showering, and things like that. For example, if someone has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and they are on 10 different types of medication and they have to take those drugs daily, they might have to show that they can manage those medications. Or could hire somebody to manage them for them, that kind of thing. Most conservatorships are for people who have something like Alzheimer's. Okay. This is an interesting article. I'll have to look more about this. It's an interesting article. If you want to read it, it's in Variety. Britney Spears' legal experts explains why pop star's unprecedented conservatorship case is highly normal. But a key takeaway from the article is it's just not public record what evidence was presented by the people who wanted to put her under a conservatorship, and that's evidence that the judge, I guess, thought was sufficient. Both originally and then, I guess, it's been continued. So that's a great question. Anna says, one judge can change your life. Were there appeals elsewhere? That I don't know. That I don't know. Did the judge make a mistake? I don't know. I'd certainly be interested to know the evidence, what it was. Again, thanks Void Moon for sending the article. It's very interesting. Okay. Well, maybe one day we'll hear what the evidence presented on her was. Mark Rose says she was going through a really bad time back then. She doing all kinds of stuff. She even shaved her head back then, I remember. One of our viewers keeps saying Fox 46 Charlotte. Steve McCoy keeps saying Fox 46 Charlotte. Okay, I can't show a live feed from somebody else's channel. I think the story you are referring to is this story here. Rock Hill Police Department. There's protests going on is it South Carolina? Is that where it is? Protests underway following arrests of two men in South Carolina. I can't show live video. Video of an arrest by Rock Hill police is spreading fast on the internet, and the community is fired up about whether the actions by the officers were justified. The men are seen being arrested in the video, lying on the ground under several Rock Hill police officers. Police claim it was a traffic stop of a suspect they knew well, and when they searched his car, they found 2 bags of marijuana on the driver's door. The man was, police claim Travis in the green shirt tried to interfere and was non-compliant when asked to put his hands behind his back, and then wrestling started. So I guess there was an arrest that some people are saying was too violent. And there's some protests going on. Well, I'll keep an eye out on it. Yeah, I haven't seen the... I see this video being posted online, which is supposedly of the arrest, so you can go find it. I haven't watched the whole thing, and I certainly don't know context of it, so I don't feel like able to really intelligently comment on it. Basically, if you go to Twitter, and you look up Rock Hill, you will find several videos. I think it's like this video here and this video here, and so feel free to watch it. I haven't taken the time to watch it and really read up on it and stuff, so maybe I'll do it after. But I think at this point I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Some viewers mentioned that there's some protests going on, so I'm guessing if you search Rock Hill protest, you can find a live shot of that somewhere too, if you want to check that out. But I think I am going to wrap up this live stream. So I appreciate you joining me for the live news roundup. And I really appreciate you guys letting me read your comments on the year, and also sending in your news tips and helping provide information. So thank you for watching. And I really appreciate the moderators too. Cynthia Moon, Lady Edith, Sarah Joy, Sarah 55. Ellie Bourne, Papa Bear, Racing Neophyte, thank you. Racing Neophyte, thank you. No, I don't think we're going to do a listener stream tonight. We already did. We did another stream earlier today. Hey, thanks, Sonic. That's very kind of you, Sonic. I appreciate that. And thank you, Read Israel, as well. Much appreciated, Read Israel and Sonic. Thank you. Very much appreciate that. I will post updates on news on my Twitter, as I always do, at Lookner on Twitter. That's where you can follow me for news updates. And remember to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, it's Agenda Free TV 2. If you're watching on the other platforms, I just have one news channel, Agenda Free TV. On YouTube, remember, there are two news channels. My main news channel is Agenda Free TV, where we cover like single big news stories. That's Agenda Free TV. But this channel on YouTube is, when we do the live news roundups, they're on Agenda Free TV 2. So subscribe to both of them. And when you subscribe, make sure you click the notifications bell and choose all notifications. Bell, all. Hey, also check out, what was I going to say? Oh, I got to say a quick thank you, by the way. Duster Singer. Hey, thank you, Duster. I appreciate your support. Duster Singer, thank you. She's watching over on Facebook. Thanks for all your support, Duster Singer. Much appreciated. The Discord, don't forget about the Discord. You can chat with other viewers in our Discord, which is a chat room. And the Agenda Free TV fan Discord, check it out. Also, if you sign up for the Discord, it's really cool. It's free, but you get great notifications when we're coming on the air. So check out the Discord. The mods can post that link in the chat. The link is actually also at the bottom of the YouTube video description. And also, if anybody's any interest in being a volunteer moderator, that would be awesome. You can reach out to the mods for more information. And on Facebook, I'll post an email address you can write to for more information about that. Okay. So thank you to our viewers, people like Mark Rose, Duster Singer, Steve McCoy, John Ginty, John Elliott, Shay Gifford Hargrove, Christine Topher, Nancy Brisk, Jeff Curry, Gustavo Marin, and others on Facebook. Thanks for watching there. RV Chambers. Also, I should thank the people who donated. Thank you so much for the donations. That's how you are the ones who allow me to do this full time. So thank you for the donations very much. If you do want to donate, you can always go to agendafree.tv, But I really do appreciate it. Wendy Boo, Andrew Broadwater, Connie Fernandez, Tony Del Monte, Tom Steele. Oh, I missed Tom Steele's donation. Oh, no. I hope Tom is still watching. Thank you, Tom. Sonic and Read is Real. And also thanks for the Facebook stars. That was Cheryl Johnson, Brian Wingett, and Ezra Marial. Thanks for the Facebook stars. Thanks also to our Twitch viewers, GJK. I cheated. Nothing unusual. We're unusual time to be on. Now, we sometimes do late live news roundups. We just did a live news roundup. 11 Glowfly, Ralph Macchio, On the Sidewalk Guy. Thank you for watching. Proxy Echoes, thank you for watching. I missed your comment. Proxy Echoes thinks that the Britney Spears conservatorship process has been corrupted by people who have an agenda. That's not in the patient's best interest. As I take Proxy Echo's comment, I believe that's what they're saying, because they say they think the system should not be that way. So I assume they think that's what's happening in the Britney Spears situation. Sorry, I missed a couple comments on Twitch I wanted to check out. Thank you, Vitund, for watching. And Vitund's comment on the Britney Spears situation was, people are assuming she's okay because she says she's okay. And she might be, but crazy people don't know they're crazy. Yeah, so I totally get what Vaitlund is saying. It's kind of what I was similar to something I was saying. I was like, well, what is, I would assume you can't just take the person's word for it, because then the conservatorship would be kind of meaningless. There's got to be some kind of way they determine whether the person is okay to take care of themselves. So I don't know where that's at with Britney Spears right now. Sergeant Pike, thanks for watching. E. Bridget and others. Mango Manil, thank you for watching. And our YouTube viewers. Hedge Enemy, Sean TV. Read is Real. Winter Dawn, C. Michelle Sparks, Aggie, Michelle R., Letter Artist, Aries Pyork, TJ, Christopher Slovic, C. Michelle Sparks, Gary Alwine, Denise Horton, Nicole Parrish, Vivian Yurton, I missed Aggie's comment. Aggie said, my son is nonverbal, several disabilities, and it took a high bar to get guardianship. Brittany's medical information is protected under HIPAA. Some of the people that want her to be free may be killing her. That was our viewer, Aggie. Polly, thanks for watching. Auric 3D, TJ. Sean Topper Hartley. Melly Belly. Anon again, Mantronics. Denise Horton. Daniel Terrell. And everybody else watching there. Ernesto Aubin. All right, guys. I am wrapping this up. But I appreciate you joining me. And we'll have more live streams coming up soon. So that is it for now. Thank you guys for watching. And we will see you soon with more live news coverage on Agenda Free TV and Agenda Free TV 2.